If someone came to you offering to put the mark of the beast on your body, would you accept it? I believe the majority's answer would be no. However, the project of the mark of the beast is already a reality in our society, and many people are falling into this trap without even realizing it. Could you be one of them? Would you be able to recognize the signs that this is already happening? In today's video, I want to alert you about this serious matter, as the signs are evident, and it's important for everyone to be vigilant and not be caught off guard. To recognize the signs of the project of the mark of the beast among us, it is necessary to analyze some points. The first one is to understand the difference between the information that the world transmits to us through the internet and television, and the truths that the Word of God has already revealed to us. The big problem occurs when many prefer to seek knowledge only through these means of communication and forget to seek knowledge in the Bible. For this reason, many end up being deceived and falling into traps without realizing that they are on the wrong path.
Let's talk about the mark of the beast. According to the Bible, there will come a time when the Antichrist will establish a global regime that will enforce a system whereby everyone, small or great, the rich and the poor, the free men and the slaves, everyone will be given a mark no one will be able to buy or sell. A lot of people will certainly accept the mark. And the simple reason for this is that the Antichrist will make it so difficult to live life without the mark. Imagine these scenarios. All of the major institutions in the world, banks and hospitals, for example, imagine if they say that you need the mark in order to pay your medical bills or to perform any banking transactions. Imagine if you are told that you can only make your mortgage payments, your rent payments, if you have the mark. What would you do? Just imagine the pressure. For you to do your household shopping, to buy food, or to get any of the necessities of life, before you can buy anything, you'll have to display a specific mark so that the people that do not submit to the Antichrist will, in a certain sense, be isolated and cut off from the necessities of life. The majority of people will find these pressures to be too great, and they will sell their souls to the devil. Now, here are a couple of theories as to how the Antichrist will spread his message. Deception. One school of thought is that there will be a seismic economic crash that will totally destroy the world's financial systems. This is the stage that will allow the Antichrist to take center stage and appear to have all of the answers. One of those answers will be his mark. This is where Revelation 13, verse 16 to 17 comes in, which tells us that everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, will be given a mark, and no one can buy or sell anything without that mark. It is likely that the Antichrist will get the masses to accept this mark by telling them that this new world system of global finance will be necessary for society to function safely and efficiently. But this is a lie, because you effectively have no choice. It is a dictatorship. The messaging will be good. Deep down, there is no choice. There is no alternative. It's comply or suffer.
Government digital ID system. And for related purposes, those opinions say aye, against no. I think the ayes have it.
And just like that, we've got digital IDs. And it is going to bother you, because you're human.
But it is going to bother you because you're human, and I was human. I am human, still. But I was just referring to myself in the past.
You remember no job, no travel, right? Well, digital IDs have just passed. It's right there on the government website. It's coming to fruition. They tried really hard bringing these digital IDs to us while we were locked down, just so that we could fight to be free, just so that they could bring back digital IDs to lock us down again. Look at what it says on the government website now. Digital ID for the right to work. Digital ID for the right to rent. You no longer have the right to work or rent unless you get their digital ID. And with digital currency, it'll be 24/7 lockdowns for people like us. And that's the point. But it's going to get much worse because there's something else coming.
Headed toward a one world global government with one massive, monstrous leader.
Comprehensive plan that was signed on to by 178 nations plus the Holy See in 1992. It's the United Nations plan, and it's a plan to inventory and control all land, water, plants, minerals, construction, means of production, food, energy, everything on the planet, law enforcement, education, and of course, information and human beings. So this is, a comprehensive plan of action, an inventory and control plan. It's about data sharing. It's about money transferring from the developed nations to the lesser developed nations. And ultimately, it's about destroying your ability to have a voice, destroying your ability to have representative government. It's about changing your government to governance.
It's all been building to what the government ultimately wants. By now, you probably get it. Control. They will literally create a crisis, then use it to get more control, and then they'll always lead to another crisis, which leads to the government taking more control. And the cycle continuously repeats itself. And what's the next major step in all this control? You already know how much they take from you in taxes, how much it costs you to borrow the money because they own interest rates. So why not try to control the money left over still sitting in your bank account? You got it. The federal government and the likes of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, know they can't circumvent the Constitution, so the only way is to make you bend to their will by controlling your livelihood. How are they going to do that? Simple. Make sure that they control or at least have knowledge of all of your money and every financial transaction you make. Digital currency. Now, look, even CNN noted the United States is the latest to signal urgency in the research and potential digital version of its dollar via a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. That's CNN saying that. That is how they're going to do it. They're going to sell it to you under the guise of ease, security, greater good, whatever. And the U.S. government is taking their lead from someone who no one elected, has demonstrated he can't be trusted, and has also no real qualifications to be given any advice on financial stuff on the world stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the real-life Dr. Evil, Klaus Schwab, the man that every power-hungry leftist worships.
Interesting how they all marched in perfect lockstep while chanting the same slogans.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity.
Here we are now with an economy in crisis, but with an incredible opportunity.
It's certainly a major crisis, but it also offers us a unique opportunity.
Unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset.
The great opportunity for reset.
Opportunity for us to reset.
For a reset.
It's almost as if they all attended the same school of thought and studied under the same professor.
Some people would say this revolution is characterized by the fight of robots against human beings. And we will win this fight.
Professor Klaus Schwab was born in 1938 in Ravensburg, Germany, where Nazi crimes against humanity were committed. His father, Eugene Wilhelm Schwab, was the managing director of Escher Weiss Ravensburg, a company that used slave labor to manufacture weapons of war for the Third Reich. While Klaus's father was at the helm, the Nazi Party awarded Escher Weiss Ravensburg the title of National Socialist Model Company. Years later, Klaus Schwab joined the board of directors at Escher Weiss Ravensburg, where he played a key role in the development of South Africa's nuclear weapons program during the darkest years of the racist apartheid regime. Today, Klaus Schwab is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
If you'd like to meet the people who are supposed to repair the state of the world, or give a piece of your mind to the bankers who helped get us into this mess, we can tell you where to find a lot of them. The World Economic Forum.
Founded in 1971, the World Economic Forum is an international private organization which receives billions of tax-free dollars from its members and their global enterprises. Every year, the WEF brings together its members with world leaders, big pharma executives, tech titans, Hollywood celebrities, media personalities, and internet influencers to meet in the secluded mountains of Davos, Switzerland.
It is a tiny town folded into the Swiss Alps, a village where you could bump into Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, the head of Google, and the Queen of Jordan, all in one place. A lot of reporters cover the forum, but few get inside. It turns out there are two Davoses, one you see and one you don't. After hours, there are hundreds of private parties where deals are done. People who can't be seen together in public can meet here.
Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished heads of state and government, the future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room.
Klaus Schwab, the founder of the WEF, is particularly upfront and even proud of his ability to shape and influence world politics.
I created the community of global shapers as a means, as a force to shape our common future.
And of course, their Global Young Leaders program is a grooming ground so that when they ultimately infiltrate cabinets,
We penetrate the cabinets.
they will likely tend to govern a certain way.
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is vaccinated.
The names and the countries he mentioned ended up being some of the most dystopian and authoritative during this pandemic.
Names like Ms. Merkel, Vladimir Putin, and so on.
Other names? Jacinda Ardern, Sebastian Kurz, Mauricio Macri, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Ma, Gavin Newsom, Stéphane Bancel, Chelsea Clinton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Leanna Wen, Alexander and Jonathan Soros, George Soros' sons, and several of the Rothschilds. And of course,
Now, who could represent such a world better than you, Prime Minister?
In 2014, Klaus Schwab called for the Great Reset,
We need a great reset.
which he positioned as the solution to the world's most urgent issues. The dark reality of Schwab's agenda is detailed in his best-selling book, COVID-19, The Great Reset. His endgame mission is to replace independent governance with a top-down controlled, one world government and a central bank-controlled digital currency.
I just would like to highlight what you said about the European Chips Act, because it's a very important step to create the physical brain for digitalization and to have it located to a certain extent in Europe. Au bout de ça, on parle de plus qu'on pourra s'implanter, ce sera quand ça? Certainement dans les 10 années à venir. Et d'abord, on va les implanter dans nos vêtements, c'est-à-dire wearables, comme on le
For the next version of the glasses, one of the things that I'm pretty excited about, I think we'll start getting some consumer neural interfaces soon. I think that's going to be pretty wild.
Et après, on pourrait s'imaginer qu'on les implante dans nos cerveaux ou dans notre peau.
Imagine the joy of connecting with your loved ones, browsing the web, or even playing games using only your thoughts.
The microchips are already here.
The microchip implants use the same technology that's in contactless credit cards.
Et à la fin, peut-être il y a une communication directe entre notre cerveau et le monde digital. Ce que nous voyons, c'est une sorte de fusion du monde physique, digital et biologique. On appelle quelqu'un, on n'a même plus le réflexe de prendre un appareil, ça se fait naturellement. La technique continue le corps. Oui, vous parlez, vous dites, je peux maintenant être connecté avec n'importe qui.
And this man wants the digital currency so bad, he can taste it. What exactly is a centralized digital currency? Well, it's a digital form of central bank money that is widely available to the general public. That's the actual definition of it. Now, a centralized digital currency, also known as a CBDC, would differ from existing digital money, like the Bitcoin, which we'll talk about in a sec, because it would be a liability of the Federal Reserve, not of a commercial bank. Its value, its availability, and even whether or not you can spend it and what you can spend it on would be mostly controlled by unelected bureaucrats. You thought the Patriot Act, FISA courts, and the FBI spying on you, stripping you of your freedoms? You think that was bad? Just wait for this. This will, not may, it will lead to confiscation, maybe expiration dates on funds that you thought you owned. Blacklisting products and people. You don't think Gavin Newsom, that wacko out in California, isn't salivating at the ability to limit the amount of money you can spend on a gun? Like China is doing right now. It can even go the way of the social credit score. They're doing that too. China's digital yuan makes it easier for the Communist Party to view users' financial data and censor their activity. Weird.
The list is now getting longer, as every Chinese citizen is being assigned a social credit score, a fluctuating rating based on a range of behaviors. In several big cities in China, including here in Shanghai, the government is even tracking jaywalkers. Cameras record them going through intersections, zero in on their face, and then publicly shame them on nearby video screens.
And few here are willing to criticize it, something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it. Welcome to your future, a digitally interdependent, hyper-connected, networked world. Throw off the tethers of ordinary reality and join the digitized multitudes ruled by global e-governance. With your very own new world citizen of the People's Federated Republic of the Great Democratic United Global States Incorporated chip card. Just one chip is now a key to every relevant database you are in on Earth. We're taking identification to a technocratic level beyond Aldous Huxley's wildest dreams and George Orwell's nightmares. One chip linked to your unique citizen number connects to all of your relevant societal business, including your passport, your driver's license, and all Federation-required licenses, titles, and registrations, your car, home, and medical insurance, all of your medical records, including your mandatory annual psychological evaluation, your DNA profile, and your prescriptions, your voter registration and history, and your bank account and digital universal basic income credits. But that's not all. Your blockchain-protected New World Citizen chip also gives you a digital footprint everywhere you go on the web, from online news sources to all of your social media accounts, authenticating you online to ensure a safe, peaceful, and secure society where no one can offend anyone else, because no one can hide. Continuous, real-time, 24/7 tracking and tracing will ensure a truly peaceful, digital utopia for all. No more fear of identity theft or forgetting those pesky passwords, as your digital citizen mark will be biometrically verified through your fingerprints, iris scan, EEG, voice print, and facial map. From Cairo to Rome to Ingolstadt to Paris to Washington to Estonia and Astana. From ocean to ocean to ocean to heck, all of the oceans. Being a digital resident offers you a new concept of freedom to be a global citizen under your borderless digital new world order.
You think I'm crazy? Think again. They're doing this right out in the open, and no one is calling them on it. Take a look. Quote, Joe Biden ordered federal agencies to start to study the implications of a government-backed digital currency. The Federal Reserve is on the bandwagon for this, with studies and experiments already underway. But what's standing in their way? Well, two things. One is cash. They need to get rid of a cash-based system if they're going to do this, because if non-trackable cash is an option, people will just convert their digital currency over to cash and get around the government's restrictions. It has that pesky little thing on it for all debts, public and private. And two, private digital currency like Bitcoin. Why? Well, it's blockchain technology. It exists everywhere and nowhere, with no way for the government to manipulate or control it. You think I'm lying? Remember the 3 banks that just went bust? Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic Bank, and Signature Bank. All premier banks for Bitcoin or the like. Why do you think they didn't get bailed out? It's all connected, folks. So how do you get people to willingly give up their own autonomy, especially their financial autonomy? Simple. Give them free money. They'll take it. UBI, Universal Basic income. And no surprise, like always, our buddy Klaus Schwab and the rest of these globalist, communists, and lizard people are trying to use a crisis to impose it. Check this out. What do you think the lockdowns were about? And why do you think they closed mom and pop stores but let big box retailers stay open? Forced economic consolidation. World governments knew that if they could make people suffer financially, they could get them to rely on government. It's being tried in England right now. I'm showing you the receipts, folks. COVID was a trial run. In May, CBS News reported, prepare for the next pandemic. Future pathogens with, quote, an even deadlier potential than COVID. That's the WHO chief, the World Health Organization that nobody wants to listen to anymore. What they are doing is so blatant that even a member of the European Parliament, Christine Anderson, called it out. Listen to this.
This whole COVID madness, this so-called pandemic, it was just a test balloon. For what, you ask? Well, to see how far they could go. To see what exactly they would have to do to get free individuals in a free and democratic society to consent to being forced into compliance.
Boom. This time, though, it'll be double secret probation shutdown. People will have no choice but to take the universal basic income, except it will only be available in the centralized digital currency. And those big box retailers that now own most of the market, substantially more after COVID, they will be forced to only accept this, not cash. Otherwise, the government would shut them down for, health reasons or safety or the greater good. This is already happening in some places. Oh, Carl, I've never heard this. How could this possibly be true? Exactly. Of course you've never heard of it, because they're doing it in places that censor it. Ours tried to do this too. They just didn't totally succeed. Still don't believe me? Look to our north. Canada. Canada is literally succeeding. Fortunately, Ted Cruz understands this. He's one of the few actually fighting it. Folks, my point here is that a centralized digital currency is the end of our freedoms. Period. Full stop.
The American businesses have already gone cashless as well. They'll pretend it's all about convenience, but really, it's all about control. The emergence of a system for comprehensive control that's so complete that we can barely imagine it.
Countries like India, Estonia, Korea, there's a long list, have taken national steps to provide citizens who wish with a secure form of digital identification that can be presented online. A secure digital ID biometrically synced to your smartphone.
But it would be fun, right? The process is simple and swift. A pinch of the skin, and in a matter of seconds, the chip is inserted. The transformation is complete.
In the future, do you think everyone is going to be chipped?
I think it'll be voluntary, but I am certainly convinced that millions of people will find it very, very valuable to have a smart device under their skin.
Human microchipping may be our future, but it's already reality.
A story for so many years. Yeah. Before anybody ever even figured out how to write it down. And you're telling a story about a civilization that allowed people to put brain implants in them. And then all of a sudden the brain implants were hijacked by machines and people became just meat zombies controlled by corporations. That'd be a demonic thing. If a demon tricked human beings, that demon would be like a famous character in books and folklore. But that demon exists, and it's just technology. It just shows itself through this desire for the newest, latest innovations that are going to constantly fuel it becoming more and more powerful. Until one day it tricks you into letting it into its head, like a vampire.
Imagine the joy of connecting with your loved ones, browsing the web, or even playing games using only your thoughts.
This kind of surveillance, when you watch the big president, the big leader, gives a speech on television, the television could be monitoring you and knowing whether you're angry or not, just by analyzing the cues, the biological cues coming from your body. So now people are now watching us online, all over the world, this conversation. Now, maybe even right now, the people who are watching us are being watched
Musk's controversial Neuralink is ready to test its brain chip implant on humans.
Elon Musk's brain implant startup Neuralink is recruiting patients for a clinical trial.
This morning, Elon Musk announcing that for the first time, his company Neuralink has implanted a brain chip in a human. Musk saying the person is recovering well. Initial results show promising neuron spike detection. Neuralink's goal is to help paralysis patients communicate by connecting their brain to a computer.
The device is designed to interpret your neural activity so you can operate a computer or a smartphone by simply thinking.
Welcome to the Neuralink Show and Tell. The first two applications we're going to aim for in humans are restoring vision.
And imagine the joy of connecting with your loved ones, browsing the web, or even playing games using only your thoughts.
Implantable microchips, brain-computer interfaces. What exactly are we talking about here? If you can see me talking to you right now, it's because there are light waves coming from your screen onto your retina, or the thin layer of tissue in the back of your eyes that detects light signals. Our retinas take these light signals, then convert them into electrical signals, which can get sent along the optic nerve to the visual cortex in the back part of our brains. So if any component along this pathway is malfunctioning, perhaps a cataract or clouding of the lens in your eyes is preventing light from hitting your retina, or maybe glaucoma is causing damage to the optic nerve. If any portion of the visual pathway isn't working, then we will have problems in our vision. And one of the fundamental concepts of how our visual system is designed is what's called the retinotopic map. What this means is that our brains organize information about where things are in the visual world around us. So each neuron in the visual cortex, or the part of the brain that's responsible for our sight, each neuron will fire based on a small part of the visual field, which is called its visual receptive field. And the way the map is set up, it's inverted. So, for example, if you see something here on the right side of your visual field, then a neuron will fire here on the left side of your brain. And then if you see something on the left side of your visual world, then a neuron here on the right side of your brain will fire. To really illustrate this point, look at this figure from a paper published in 2017. We're looking at the visual cortex of a mouse brain, and we're seeing the mouse's brain activity light up as the mouse watches a dot moving around. The way the mouse's brain set up is like our brains too. It's inverted. So when the dot moves up, the bottom part of the brain fires. And then when the dot moves down, the top part of the brain fires. With this information, scientists can basically map out each point in our visual world with a specific location in our brains. The reason why this knowledge is so powerful is because, in theory, if you can stimulate specific neurons in our visual cortex in just the right pattern, you can recreate the experience of seeing the world around us. For example, if you stimulate neurons in the brain in the pattern of a triangle in just the right location, you can have a patient see a triangle. Or maybe if you wanted them to see a smiley face, you can do that too. And that's basically the premise of these computer vision, computer brain interfaces. With our natural eye-brain interface, our retinas and our optic nerves send vision data from the world around us to our visual cortex for processing. Neuralink's technology and brain-computer interfaces will change humanity forever. As of late 2023, Neuralink has raised over $320 million to fund its research efforts, and the company has been valued at more than $5 billion just based on the potential of the technology it's developing. Now, the concept of brain-computer interfaces is not new. In fact, researchers have been working on this technology for decades. Dr. Donahue was actually one of the pioneers, one of the godfathers of computer-brain interfaces. He and his team were implanting electrodes or computer chips into people's brains and plugging them into computers. And I distinctly remember this grainy footage he showed us. He had patients who were paralyzed, either from trauma or other spinal cord injuries. And with this technology, they were able to control computers, not with a mouse or a keyboard, but entirely with their minds. And they even had patients moving prosthetic limbs, all with their thought.
Now close it?
Now close. Nice. Open. Not bad at all.
This was in 2009 or 2010, and seeing this technology give people the power to physically control the world around them with just their thoughts, this expanded my reality of what was possible with science.
The way this worked was they put human beings inside an fMRI machine. They had them look at images and figure out what the patterns are, like translate from image to brain patterns. And then, of course, they would hide the image. So this is a image of a giraffe that the computer has never seen. It's only looking at the fMRI data.
And this is what the computer thinks the human is seeing. Yeah. Now, to get state of the art, here's where the combinatorial aspect, where you can start to see these are all the same demo. To do this kind of imaging, the latest paper, the one that happened even after this, which is already better, uses stable diffusion, uses the thing that you use to make art. Like, what should the thing that you use to make art have anything to do with reading your brain? But of course it goes further. So in this one, they said, can they understand the inner monologue, the things you're saying to yourself in your own mind? Mind you, by the way, when you dream, like your visual cortex runs in reverse, so your dreams are no longer safe. But we'll try this. So they had people watch a video and just narrate what was going on in the video in their mind. So the woman, she gets hit in the back, she falls over. This is what the computer reconstructed the person thinking. See a girl, looks just like me, get hit in the back, and then she is knocked off. So our thoughts, are starting to be decoded. Yeah, just think about what this means for authoritarian states, for instance. Or if you want to generate images that maximally activate your pleasure sensor, anything else. Okay, but let's keep going, right? To really get the sense of the combinatorics of this. How about, can we go from Wi-Fi radio signals, sort of like the Wi-Fi routers in your house, they're bouncing off radio signals that work sort of like sonar. Can you go from that to where human beings are, to images? So what they did is they had, a camera looking at a space with people in it. That's sort of like coming in from one eye. The other eye is the radio signals, so sonar from the Wi-Fi router. And they just learned to predict, this is where the human beings are. Then they took away the camera. So all the AI had was the language of radio signals bouncing around a room. And this is what they're able to reconstruct. Real-time 3D pose estimation, right? So suddenly AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings.
This is the moment when everything went digital, and this was the moment when everything became monitored. That we agreed to be surveyed all the time, not just in authoritarian machines, but even in democracies. And maybe most importantly at all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin. Because really we haven't seen anything yet. I think that the big process that's happening right now in the world is hacking human beings, the ability to hack humans, to understand deeply what's happening within you.
The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
Blessing, to tell the truth. It's a blessing to know I'm real. Every day when I go to sleep, every day when I get up, damn it, I can look in the mirror and say, that's a real American right there. My grandparents and their parents would be proud of me, and they are. Not a bunch of crap like these New World Order pedophile devil worshippers. I'm a straight shooter all the way, and I love it. It's my identity. It's everything. It's my entire soul. It's my value. And that's what they don't like. Yeah! Woo! I get to defend my family and humanity. I get to have the worst people on earth come after me. That's not a curse. That is a blessing. And they can put me in prison and torture me to death and cut my head off. I don't give a damn about them, because there ain't nothing on earth, thank God, I want. I want victory. I want to get these scumbags off our backs, and we will, and they know it, because there's a wavelength in the spirit I've got that you've got, and we resonate together, and they know we're the fire starters in the minds of men and women.
Where does this go? It depends on how many of us shoulder our crosses and walk uphill. I really mean that. We're at that point. Wake up, figure out which side you're on.